Ladies and gentlemen, I think I've about broken my thumb trying to give out as many L's, ouch, L's as I have for the state of Texas, my state, for all of this stuff that's going on. And yet we have another story to present that these fools that y'all see on my screen. Let me see if I can back that up like a U-Haul truck real quick so you guys can see who we're talking about here. A 32-year-old Texas father and his 27-year-old wife are behind bars this week after they allegedly subjected his son to torturous punishments, forcing this child to spend hours holding 50-pound boxes and beating him until he was brain dead for being what they refer to as disrespectful. And if you guys are familiar with the black community like I is, because I is part of the black community, y'all, you know that disrespect could be anything. Even by the definition of the word, it might not even fit, but it could still be considered disrespectful. You can't disrespect a black person, right? I guess that means that you could be murdered. But this story is going to have some details, and we're going to give even more details that are not going to sit with your sensibilities, as well as my personal opinion. So if you need to exit the video, that is your disclaimer. Now, let me see if I can get their faces back up here. I know those faces are really hard to look at. I know it looks like somebody pulled them out of a briar patch, or somebody dug them up out of the ground, right? They look half human. Danilo Coles on the left-hand side of the screen, and Capri Cheatham, Cheatom. They were taken into custody overnight and charged with 1 count each of first degree causing injury to a child, resulting in serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony, records reviewed by Law and Crime. And thank you for Law and Crime for the article. Now, according to a probable cause affidavit obtained by the San Antonio CBS affiliate, KENS-5, officers with the San Antonio Police Department responded to a 911 call about a child who stopped breathing at a home located at the 7600 block of Wurzbach, Wurzbach, Wurzbach Road. Upon arriving at the scene, first responders reportedly found the baby that you see on my screen, a 12-year-old boy who was unresponsive. Coles, who was identified as the boy's father, reportedly told police that his son had fallen down in the shower and died, apparently. Now, if you guys were watching the community tab on my channel, there's a tab that you can click on that says community. I post there all the time. I post updates in there. If you guys want to know what's going on with me, I always post updates in there. So if you're not checking the community tab either daily or every other day, then you might be missing out. But I posted, I think about 4 different stories, and I asked people, which one of these 4 stories do y'all think involved another bathtub incident, or at least a parent who we believe murdered a child but blamed it on a bathtub? There's always something with these damn bathtubs. Yes, another bathtub story. So some people thought it was a trick question, so they thought it was all 4 stories, but it was this one. The boy's father claimed that the boy fell in a shower, but let me give you some more details. Emergency medical services personnel attempted to resuscitate the child before transporting him to University Hospital on Medical Drive. The medical staff that treated the boy, who was later identified as Danilo Coles, reportedly told investigators that the boy has sustained several suspicious injuries. Don't sound like that shower bullcrap is starting to add up. But when I hear shower, whenever y'all hear somebody fail and hurt themselves in the shower, I think you ought to, at this point, automatically believe it's bullshit. In my opinion. Excuse my language. Emergency services personnel, shortly after arriving at the facility, doctors reported that Danilo had no brain activity, pronouncing him dead later that night. Detectives took Coles and Cheatham in for questioning, where the couple allegedly admitted to physically abusing Danilo in the lead up to his death. And we'll read that GoFundMe here in a minute because I think it's rather interesting. Per KNS, Coles told investigators that his son had recently moved in with him and Cheatham after being raised in Chicago by his mother. That's interesting. The boy had allegedly been abused during his years in Chicago. Let me say that again. This is allegedly. Allegedly, the boy had been abused while he was living with his mother in Chicago. Coles reportedly said that when Danilo moved in, he immediately started acting disrespectful and had caused problems for him and Cheatham. Those specifics were not mentioned, because anything could be a problem with our people sometimes. They won't give you a clear explanation. They won't explain a damn thing. That's just what we do sometimes, if we can be honest. I've been black for almost 40 years. I think I can speak on the black experience. Yes? As punishment for acting out, Coles and Cheatham would reportedly force this 12-year-old boy to do push-ups and stand for hours holding boxes filled with water bottles that weighed approximately 50 pounds. Even as a grown man, I couldn't do that. Coles also reportedly admitted that he busted Danilo's lip a few hours before his death. At approximately 11 a.m. on the day of his death, Cheatham told detectives that the boy woke up around 11 a.m. and cursed at her, Philadelphia Fox affiliate WTXF TV reported. He was then reportedly ordered to hold up a pair of boxes weighing about 50 pounds. When a pair of boxes, I think they're talking about 50 pounds total, hopefully not 50 apiece. When he couldn't hold up the boxes any longer, he was reportedly given a second set of smaller boxes. When he could no longer hold them, he was ordered to do push-ups. Per the report, this punishment went on for approximately 4 to 5 hours. Let me say that again, because there's some people in the back of the room that might not have heard that, so I need to repeat it. They made this boy do this for approximately 4 to 5 hours. Not 4 to 5 minutes. 4 to 5 hours. If y'all look at them and they look kind of frail-bodied themselves, how many of you guys believe that either one of those two fools, dad or dad's girlfriend, could have held 50-pound boxes for 4 to 5 hours, standing in place, and do all those damn push-ups for 4 to 5 hours? I say no. If you can't even do the damn punishment yourself, or the discipline yourself, whatever you want to call it, you damn sure shouldn't be having children do it. This is just. But I want y'all to keep in mind, that's not even ultimately what killed him. What killed him was the beating that they gave him. Danilo then took a shower, which is when Cheatham reportedly said that the boy fell, resulting in a cut over his eye. Danilo was then allegedly made to do push-ups again. Even though you're saying that the fall killed him, but you made him do push-ups after taking a fall that allegedly killed him. That doesn't even make any sense. When he couldn't do any more calisthenics, Coles allegedly grabbed a belt and beat the boy, who was on the floor in a fetal position. The doctors who treated Danilo reportedly told police that the child's injuries were not consistent with falling in the shower. Per WTFX, Danilo sustained severe injuries to his buttocks where the skin was hanging off of the buttocks. That's not spanking. That's not discipline. That's not whooping. That's not whatever you want to call it. That's murder. That's rage. That's hate. Yes, it said the skin. Think about that. So for those who might not have caught the drift, that means that they probably, either the dad or the mom and the dad, or excuse me, the alleged mom, the stepmom, and the biological father whooped him naked. For those who didn't catch that, I don't know that to be a fact, but that's what it sounds like to me. That sounds like a hard-ass belt making hard-ass contact with bare skin. Y'all catch that? Let me read it again and see if y'all hear what I heard. It said that Danilo sustained several injuries to his buttocks where the skin was hanging off of the buttocks. Does that not sound like he was whooped naked? He also had internal stomach bleeding, which ain't gonna happen from a belt. That means he was punched or kicked, or both. And he had whipping marks on his torso and legs. He was probably punched and kicked and bled to death on the inside. In addition to the physical punishment, Danilo was reportedly ordered to write, "I will obey all people that live in the household." Wow. Made him write that in a notebook. Coles and Cheatham are both being held in the Bexar County Jail on a $150,000 bond. Why did they get a bond at all? I don't understand that. But records show that they are both scheduled to appear before a judge, and this was back on March the 9th, so that's probably already occurred. But I want you guys to remember, if y'all are asking where's the biological mother, what they are claiming is that the biological mother also participated in abuse when the boy lived in Chicago, which is how the father ended up getting custody of the boy in San Antonio, Texas. But let me show you guys something I think that is a little bit interesting. If you guys are listening, please click that thumbs up. Please share this story if you're listening. Like Fire Marshal Bill, let me show you something. This is a GoFundMe from an individual by the name of Ashley Clemens. I believe Ashley Clemens is the biological mother. The biological mother who did not, let me say this very slowly. The biological mother did not have custody of 12-year-old Danilo Coles, is asking for $50,000 from people who are hearing about this story and asking it on behalf of her dead son, who she did not have custody of. At some point, I might need to use GoFundMe, and I know people might not want to donate if I ever need a GoFundMe, because I talk so bad about people who are misusing GoFundMe, not people who use it, those who misuse it. So please, somebody tell me. Somebody please explain the logic to me, because maybe I'm missing it. But why would a biological mother of a child who she did not have custody of need $50,000 for a child who is dead that she didn't have custody of? Most states, if a child is murdered and there are charges, the state usually will pick up the burial cost. Maybe there's somebody who understands this better than I do. Matter of fact, I haven't done this in a while. See if I can break out my trusty whiteboard real quick. Can I do that? I don't know if this thing still works or not. Let me see. I have not used this in a long time. Y'all see that? $50,000. Do y'all want to know why this person is asking for $50,000 on behalf of a child that she didn't have custody of? Are y'all ready for this? I'll read you the statement. On GoFundMe, it says a few words from Ashley. For those who are unaware, my baby Danilo, aka Nemo, life was stolen from him. There is no amount of worldly justice or funding that could ever replace or compensate for the life of my child that is missing. My son Danilo did not deserve to be abused or be killed, and I, his second dad Kendall, and all 5 of his siblings siblings, 6 kids in total by one person. Ridiculous. But we is broke, y'all. We is living in the hood. It's systemic racism that's holding us back, y'all. Not the fact that you keep producing kids that you can't afford to take care of, but I digress. All 5 of his siblings are very devastated. My son Danilo was staying with his grandmother Crystal, and she passed away. I lived over 2,000 miles away and was misled and lied to in regards to obtaining my son. At his grandmother's funeral, those who were supposed to be holding on, taking care, loving and protecting him, his uncle Reuben and Jason, Aunt Tania, grandparents Patricia and James, why she named everybody's name like that, took it upon themselves to contact his biological father, Derek Coles and Capri Cheatham, 2 known unsafe figures, parents and adults, and proceeded to tell them they could not and did not want to take care of Danilo, and provided Derek with the financial resources needed to travel to Illinois and go back to Texas, potentially sending him off to his death. This is a long ass message. Do y'all want me to read the rest of this? Y'all might not believe how long this is. Let me just show you. Let me see if I can show you. I'm going to have to make this really big on the screen. What's messed up about this is I've always said, if you're going to ask for this kind of money, you need to write out a statement that signifies that kind of money. And it looks like that's exactly what she did. Derek Coles, a man who has never had any active involvement in his child's life. Danilo's life has always been extremely abusive. Why she spell abusive? Abusice. That's not abusive. Has never had any form of custody and potentially kidnapped his own child away from the biological mother and refused and ignored. Look, man, I'm not about to read all of this. This is stupid. Y'all go look that GoFundMe up if you want to read the rest of that. I'm not reading the rest of that bull crap. $50,000. Does she have a point? Is it valid? Does she have a reason to ask for that kind of money? Let me know in the comment section. Let me give you the fair usage. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Don't worry, guys. We won't judge you if you believe that the mother has a valid reason for asking for $50,000. Let me know, and I will back off. Just post it in the comment section. Let me know what you think. But by the way, hit that thumbs up, but share the memory of 12-year-old Danilo Coles, because it sounded like he was failed on both sides of his family.
A 12-year-old boy dead, his own father and stepmother, who just gained custody of the child, have been charged in connection with his death.
Now, investigators say that the couple initially told police the boy had fallen in the shower. But our Japhanie Gray reports the arrest warrant tells a completely different story.
I want to warn you, some of the details in this story are disturbing.
We noticed when we came out after service, there was some police out here. Then we seen the crime scene unit.
Pastor Brian Ayala says he's disturbed after learning what happened Sunday afternoon at the Woodland Ridge apartment complex. San Antonio police discovered 12-year-old Danilo Coles unresponsive inside an apartment. The child's father, Derek Coles, and his stepmother, Capri Cheatham, are charged with causing serious bodily injury to the child, resulting in his death for, quote, being disrespectful, according to an affidavit. Neighbors we talked to are in disbelief.
He's in a better place, obviously. I mean, to be going through that kind of hell is awful.
The police affidavit states Coles told police that the child had fallen in the shower, but when he was taken to the hospital, nurses informed police that the boy's injuries were not consistent to the couple's story. According to the affidavit, during an interview with police, the couple admitted that after their son said something disrespectful, Coles busted the boy's lip. But the abuse didn't stop there.
The affidavit states that at one point, the parents allegedly made the child hold a big case of water similar to this for an hour. Now, we all know, even as adults, holding this for 1 minute can be a struggle.
The arrest warrant goes on to describe more punishments the couple allegedly enforced. Push-ups for 3 to 4 hours at a time and hitting him with a belt were some. According to the warrant, Danilo also suffered injuries to his buttocks, whipping marks on his torso and legs, and internal bleeding before passing away.
And here we are with the life that has been lost because it could have been prevented.
Both parents were charged with injury to a child causing serious bodily injury, which is a first-degree felony. Both bonds set at $150,000. Now, we've also learned that there were other children in the home that were removed. Those children currently in the custody of Child Protective Services. At the Bexar County Jail, Japhanie Gray, KSAT 12 News.
Now, family, friends, and members of the community gathered tonight to remember the life of 12-year-old Danilo Coles. This was after he was allegedly beaten to death last night.
It's a little closer to home knowing that it's right across the street. I couldn't imagine being in the parents' shoes and just knowing that that was the extent of what had to happen.
Tragic story, really. That vigil was held at the Extreme Harvest Church on Wurzbach, right across from the apartments where police found that little boy, Danilo Coles. Police say that they responded to 32-year-old Derek Coles and 27-year-old Capri Cheatham to their apartment for a report of an injured child. And then officers say that when they got there, the child was unresponsive. The couple alleged that the boy fell in the shower, but when he was taken to the hospital, staff found, quote, several suspicious injuries on the victim. He had no brain activity, and he was pronounced dead that night.
Our top story, a 12-year-old boy is dead. The details surrounding his apparent beating death hard to comprehend. San Antonio police arrested the boy's father and stepmother. Eyewitness News reporter Sue Kalberg looks into the arrest affidavits.
Yes, they got $150,000 bond each. This should be considered murder on both of their parts. $150,000 bond. I think San Antonio, Texas got that wrong.
We want to warn you, this may not be suitable for all.
I heard what they did to allegedly to him, and that really ticks me off when people do that to little kids.
Every single person we spoke to here at the apartment said they were shocked by the level of violence that led to this boy's death. Police were called here to the Woodland Ridge Apartments on Wurzbach near Babcock Sunday evening by EMS, and when the medics found an unresponsive 12-year-old boy, initially, Danilo Coles' father said the boy slipped and fell in the shower, but an arrest affidavit claims the child had numerous serious injuries. The father allegedly admitted to police that he bloodied the boy's lip, that he forced him to exercise for hours, and he beat him severely with a belt. But hospital officials say it was much worse. The boy's injuries were much more significant, that he had no brain activity, and he was pronounced dead just 4 hours after he arrived. Both the dad, 32-year-old Derek Coles, and the stepmother, 27-year-old Capri Cheatham, are charged with injury to a child causing serious bodily injury. They both have bonds set at $150,000. Meanwhile, a spokesman for Northside ISD said the boy was recently enrolled in Neff Middle School as a 6th grader. They're taking steps to help any student who needs it deal with the loss. A spokesman for Child Protective Services confirms there were 2 other children living in that apartment and that they've taken steps to protect those kids. However, they say privacy constraints say they can't say anything about the number of kids, their ages, or their condition. As autopsy results are still pending, there's no word yet on whether the charges will be upgraded to murder. Sue Calbert, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.
And remembering a 12-year-old boy who died after he was beaten. A vigil was held tonight. His father and stepmother are charged with injury to a child in connection to his death. Police say the boy was forced to do push-ups and hold boxes weighing 50 pounds, with the discipline lasting several hours. Tonight, new perspective on child abuse and neglect in Bexar County. Advocates call it a big public health crisis. Eyewitness News reporter Henry Ramos leads us off tonight.
Stand before you now, Father.
Praying for a child whose life was taken at just 12 years old. These hands are raised toward the apartment complex where Danilo Coles lived, directly across from Extreme Harvest Church. Candles and balloons now sit here in his honor.
First was just tears, shock, and awe.
We were just praying for him because it really broke my heart.
Danilo was allegedly abused by his own father and stepmother, Derek Coles and Capri Cheatham. According to an affidavit, the father admitted to police he gave the boy a bloody lip, forced him to exercise for hours, and beat him with a belt. The child went to the hospital Sunday and died hours later.
5,000 confirmed cases of child maltreatment. That's abuse and neglect.
Every year, Bexar County sees about 5,000 child abuse and neglect cases.
It would be dumb to think that it's not increased.
Dr. Kathy Fletcher with Voices for Children of San Antonio believes the pandemic made the crisis worse.
The people who most often identify child abuse and neglect, teachers, and for the younger children, childcare teachers, have not seen these children. So we don't know the numbers.
We don't know the numbers. We're out here live off Wurzbach Road on the northwest side, just across from the apartment complex. You know, I also asked Dr. Fletcher, what can we do to bring these numbers down? And she says, listen, local organizations are doing the right work. They are doing everything they can. But she also believes that more money needs to be invested in mental health treatment for parents and children. And she also says getting involved in a child's life at a young age, even right after birth, could certainly make all the difference. We're live here on the northwest side tonight. Henry Ramos, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.
Thank you.
Let me ask y'all a question, because I could be really about to step on some eggshells right now, and this might crack. But y'all tell me what you think. In this country, should we be investing in more mental health treatment or more sterilization? I know that is probably a question that is going to trigger some people. Maybe I'm wrong for even thinking it or asking that, but it's just something that popped in my little feeble mind. But I'm just saying that it doesn't seem like mental health is the problem. The problem is that people continue to keep having sex, reckless procreation, and bringing kids into this world that they cannot afford to take care of. Therefore, the government has put in place programs where these people can get housing and food stamps and get taken care of depending on how many children they have. So they're actually incentivized for having more children, just on its surface. Not rewarded for being responsible, but the more irresponsible you are, the more benefits that you get off of these babies for benefits, right? What was that game show on TV where they said make sure it's spay and neuter your pet? Wasn't that The Price is Right? Bob Barker. Am I wrong about that? I could be wrong because I know Price is Right been around a long time. I know I'm old, haven't watched it in a long time. But maybe we need to take that approach to people who continue to come with their hand out. I's got all these kids, y'all, that I can't afford to take care of. Well, you know what's funny? How the men continue to get a boot up their ass when it comes to if they're working, they'll get their child support taken completely out of their check. So if you're working a reputable job, a law-abiding citizen will normally get hit. Okay? A man could be subjected to prison, to jail for not paying his child support, being behind, losing his livelihood if he's even worth a shit. That doesn't even account for the dudes that ain't shit. That doesn't account for the thugs that most of these women, not all, y'all, some of y'all are good out there, but it's a lot of y'all that are making some effed up choices. Right? Some of y'all got an ain't shit baby daddy that was out in the streets sowing a lot of his royal oats out there among, just spreading it among the swine out there. Just spreading his seed with anybody who would take the seed. So they already are not in the system, so they already didn't give a crap. So now you combine that with the dudes who would be good men, and then you have to look at it and say, well, damn, it seems like the men, at least the ones that are trying to be law-abiding citizens, are being held responsible. The other dudes ain't shit. So now you have this big nasty situation of men that are in this situation. Then you look at the women and say, well, what are they getting for being irresponsible? Are they, when they come out with their hands, are their hands getting slapped away for making bad choices? No, they're not. When you make bad choices, you get more help. And I want my responsible ladies to step up in the chat and tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. How many times have you been a married woman, did it the right way, waited until you got married, then had kids after you were financially responsible, then you needed some help because something happened with your husband, something happened with a bill, something unexpected popped up, and there was no government program there to help your family, you and your husband. You went with your hand out and they said, you know what? Screw y'all. There is no government program to incentivize families, the nuclear household. Am I saying something that's factual or saying something that's inaccurate? How many times have you been a responsible mother or a responsible father, taking care of your business, paying your taxes, you pay all your bills on time, your credit is good, really, really good, you in the 700 and 800 in credit, and the second that you need some damn help to take advantage of a program to help your kid, just a little bit of help, nobody's there to help you. You put up your GoFundMe, nobody's there to help you. Why? Because they feel like, oh, well, you had it good in life. You was born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Not the fact that you worked your butt off to be responsible. Right? You said, let's concentrate on the babies. That is exactly what all of this is about. This is about how we're bringing children into this world and how we are taking care of our children. This is not taking care of children when you look at a mother who gave birth to 6 kids and lost custody to the grandmother. The grandmother died And then she get mad because the father came in, because I want y'all to remember, this baby boy wasn't living with the mom at all. See? But she made 5 other kids. His 5 other siblings miss him. $50,000 GoFundMe. Plucking on your heartstrings with that little, the world's smallest violin. And some of y'all are hearing that music on the world's smallest violin. Does this not have to do with kids? 5 other kids and you're asking for $50,000. What's the $50,000 for? To bury a child that did not belong to you, was not in your custody? Because that child legally belonged to the grandmother. So therefore, custody was defaulted to no one. Let me explain how that works. When the child is in the custody of somebody who dies, like a grandmother, who dies of old age, dies of natural causes, somebody has to step up and apply for custody, which is what the biological father did. So if the biological mother couldn't take care of that child, which would have gave her back 6 kids, then it seems like it would make sense that the biological father would step up and at least try to raise this kid. Now, he was claiming that the biological mother was being abusive. But it's so funny how he gonna get custody of the kid. He didn't get custody of the kid because he loved him and wanted to raise him in his image and because he wanted a legacy. No, he wanted to control this kid and treat him like shit and collect benefits off of him like everybody else was. Everybody else got a house behind this boy. Everybody else got their bills paid behind this boy. Everybody else got food stamps behind this boy. And he said, why not us? What could we do with a bundle of SNAP benefits? Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. What could we do if we didn't have to pay rent every single month when we could get it because we have custody of this boy now? We could be the sympathetic figures. It shows that he didn't love this boy based on his actions. What am I saying that's wrong? What am I saying that's wrong? Married couples don't get help. Good, responsible citizens don't get help. It's always the ones who end up murdering and abusing these kids, losing custody of these kids. Those are the ones we're singing these sad songs for. Why is anybody feeling sad for the mom? And again, remember, she did not have custody. The grandmother did. So ask yourself, how did she lose custody of that boy but keep custody of the other 5 kids? Why am I turning this around on the mother? I'm actually not. I'm saying everybody involved in this story is responsible. Can we not spread that out evenly? Mom failed the boy. Dad failed the boy. Dad's girlfriend failed the boy. Grandma just happened to pass away. And the rest of the family members just passed off the buck. Look at this long freaking essay that this woman wrote asking for $50,000 of a kid that she's not going to even probably be financially responsible for burying. Again, I'm not against GoFundMe. I'm against people who misuse GoFundMe. There's a big difference. They need life in prison, and that mother needs to get her mind right, and she needs to also be sterilized. Like why should they be able to make more kids, man? It's just ridiculous. If you can't even take care of one without government assistance, you shouldn't be allowed to have any more kids. Period. I don't even think you should be able to have kids unless you're financially responsible. But definitely after one, we should have a one and done rule. You know how they had it in college, how they force college kids to be allegedly responsible, make them go a year in college, which only really helps the NCAA, but I digress. It only helps the colleges, but I digress. Forces them to be responsible. Why can't we ask parents to be responsible before these kids are even born? But maybe I'm living in a dream world. Maybe DJ Just J is like a navy blue or a brown in a box of crayons because I'm not the brightest one in the box. But nonetheless, to this beautiful prince, this baby boy was failed by everybody in his life. And let me get them off my screen because I don't want to see their faces anymore. He seemed like a happy kid, and he could have grown up to be something great. But he was failed by everybody. Let me see if I can get a good picture of him up here. I like this one. He's smiling. Danilo Coles, 12-year-old young prince. R.I.P. But I thank y'all for listening to the story. If anything, we might only do an update if there's more that gets discovered with the mom side and their story and all of that stuff that doesn't really make sense. And of course, their final sentencing. But that'll probably be all that we update with the story. But it's just really tragic. But thank you guys so much. But I hope I provided some insight and some solutions. If I didn't provide solutions, then I don't think you really listened well enough to me. But I thank you for those who did listen. Leave your comments in the comment section. Thank you.